Hello, everybody. Welcome to another DMV Comic Book Nerds podcast. I'm your host, Freddie, coming to you live from the DMV, Washington, D.C. to be specific. And this podcast, if you're new, is all about bringing people together over comics. And this is your podcast. If you're listening, I want you to know, I want to hear from you. I want to know what comic books you like, what you're reading these days. And I'll also tell you what I've been reading recently. All right, so I've got a new friend in the chat today. Let's bring him on. I'd like to introduce you guys to Geeky Old Hog. Let's see, are you there? All right, and let's unmute. All right, can you hear me?
Is that a bonjour? I'm muted. I'm muted.
I hear you now. Yeah, there we go.
That's my fault. Listen, I'm so old.
No worries.
Technology is. But I'm glad to be here. Thank you, and thank you for the invite.
Welcome. Glad you're here. We're going to talk comics today. It is June 15th. Saturday, and I'm coming to you live from Washington, D.C. Can you tell us where you're coming from today?
I am coming to you live from Essex, England.
Wow. All right. Love it. Like I told you offline, but you're my second guest from out of the States, and I'm always excited to meet people from all over, thanks to the wonders of Zoom. So, like I said, whoever wants to come on this podcast, please come. Join the chat. We got a lot to talk about.
I'm disappointed I'm not your first.
Well, you're still in the top 5, so that's pretty good.
I suppose I'll have to check out who was your first, and then I'll see how much that cheers me up. But yeah, thank you for it, and comics best hobby ever. So
yes, agreed. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to show you guys the list of books that I have been reading this week. It's pretty short. I didn't have a lot of time to read this week, but I got a few things in. So I'll share a picture here. Here's my reads for this week. We've got X-Men, Heir of Apocalypse. We've got Deadpool, World War III, or Deadpool and Wolverine, World War III. Dracula, Blood Hunt #1, Midnight Suns #1, and Blood Hunt #3.
Oh.
All right, so we will talk about all these books in a bit, but I also want to hear from you, Giggle Hall. What's your stack looking like this week? Do you want to share your stack with us?
Well, my stack does include the Blood Hunt. It does include Blood Hunt. From your choices, what else did we have there? Yes.
Yeah.
That is a return to form
for
Deadpool for me, because it is a character. Deadpool is a character that lazy writers and editors can just say, yeah, give us more of that. Just do more of that. But I'm glad that they've returned to form, and they've realised that, and I know this is old news, but they've realised the Deadpool Wolverine, the similarities of their powers, and they're using it. Using it and that's what they're doing in the movies. They're putting the different characters, the serious, pissed off Wolverine, and versus Deadpool all over the place.
Yeah, let's talk about that one for a bit, because I really love this book. Like, you've got Adam Kubert on the art, who was one of my favorites, a legendary Wolverine artist. I mean, he's done everything else as well, but I think he's been on probably every Wolverine series, every ongoing Wolverine series that I can think of. Are you a fan of Adam Kubert?
Yes, massively, and even done a little run on Captain America. He's been a prolific Marvel artist, and for me,
Definitely.
it's always the artists that lead me in. Obviously, you need the team up, you need the writer and the artist, but he's a great storyteller, a graphic, a sequential artist that just lays it on. And who is it? Is Kelly? Is it? Yeah, it's Joe Kelly.
Joe Kelly on the writing.
Do you know the only, Freddie? Do you know the only thing that, and I did mention this in issue 1, in my review of issue 1, I seem to remember. Why are they doing this?
Oh, see, I was gonna say this. See, this is Adam Kubert pushing the boundaries of the medium. Like he said, and he's done this before. He's been doing this since the '90s, honestly. Like where he flips the page 90 degrees and draw, like, instead of one full splash page, he's using both pages, and you have to read it sideways, and it's crazy, but to me it looks good. Like, I'm like, he can do it, he can pull it off because he's just that creative, I think. What do you think about it?
I think it must be my age where I found it really annoying. Like one page flipped and it's a surprise. Like you turn the page and oh my God, there it is. It's like they could do it upside down. Whatever story you're telling, surprise the reader and go, even if you keep it in that format, but go back in time. Whatever you're doing, but to just do it for a stylistic, so it's the first 3 pages. I just found it annoying. This issue 2, so you got the cover, and then you go to a page that isn't. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know why they couldn't have just told the story and then hit us with. You know what it reminds me of, Freddie?
what's
It
that?
reminds me of when the Matrix film came out and everyone had to do bullet time.
Mm-hmm.
And they had to do everything in slow motion, and everything was a motif or it was the fashion of the time. And
Yeah.
yeah, but anyway, but
Well,
we'll
I can see how it will be annoying. I would just say that for me, like, I don't know if he's hopping on a trend because he's one of the few people I see doing this, and and he has been doing this since some of the older '90s X-Men comics. Like, he doesn't do it on every comic book he does, but
he
when
does,
I got issue
yeah,
number
he does
one and
that.
when I got the tangible issue of number 1, I was like, wait a minute. Because like I also read digital comics as well, and it's not the same on digital. I mean, you still kind of have to, like,
Wow.
rotate your stuff, but it's not the
Um,
same.
do you know what, Freddie? That is something that I haven't considered with my thoughts on that. Because in the digital world, to just click the arrow to give it that, and it brings it into a different relief. Yeah,
Like,
do you
it's
know?
kind of strange on digital because, like, when they have those big double page splashes, then the text gets smaller and you have to, like, zoom in and be like, what does it say? Or like it's not always a perfect fit. But
Oh no, I hadn't considered that. That has given me food for thought. I even want to write down a note, like maybe read digital comics, but I know I won't. But in the modern era and the new world, and I'm not, like we had our chat before we started this. I'm not hating on that comic. I'm loving it, and it is because of Kubert's artwork. And I go way back to his dad.
yeah,
And his brother and the whole
Joe
family.
Kubert, Adam
Yeah.
and Andy. Yeah, it's a legacy of great artwork, and I've been a big fan since I started reading in the 2000s. So, like, I do want to just show this off real quick. Like, so when
One,
you're reading the digital copy, so the what
nice.
it
Yeah.
looks like this, and then the real double page one is kind of small, so you gotta like zoom in and then
Oh, wow.
scroll so you can see get down to the bottom there, or
Oh,
you could just flip it this way.
nice. Yeah, so that's a whole
So
different, and I'm looking at the comic as you're showing me that it's a whole different experience that,
yeah,
yeah, but then it all goes back to normal.
yeah,
And I say like normal for me, for old people like me. But no,
yeah.
that format is a minor. That uh stylistic choice.
Yeah.
is,
And but
is a,
Adam Kubert, he's always even on a regular page, he's doing interesting things with this composition. Like here we've got, a big panel, and then we've got like a little narrow panel, and then we've got some more regular sized panels, and he's got a person in front of all the panels. Like uh he's just always trying to keep it visually interesting. Here you've got some
very nicely done. Yeah.
a diagonal line. I can't even go the right way, but like this way.
Design wise,
Like
yeah.
yeah. So cool
Yeah.
stuff.
I'm enjoying it. I am enjoying it.
And the story is interesting too. Like Joe Kelly has written Deadpool before. I'm not the biggest Deadpool fan to be honest, but I'm enjoying this book and I'm enjoying this story. And it seems to be self-contained. Like it's not referencing any other stories. I think it's made for people
Love
like an entryway. If you're interested in the movie, you can check this out. It's only 3 issues, I think.
Yeah,
So
I love that, Freddie. I love that they don't keep, because I mean, from New Mutants '98, I've kind of been on board with Deadpool, right? But as soon as he became popular, they milked it for all it was worth. And
that's what they always do. Yeah.
of course they do. And you can't knock them for that. But
Mhm.
for me, Deadpool, not Wolverine, but Deadpool is a one-trick pony as a character
Mm.
for me. And I said to my son when we watched the first movie, I went, yeah, I know the character, and he was excited, and I was excited. This was when MCU was rocking and rolling. And after we watched the first film, and I said, do you know what? They nailed it. And old Ryan Reynolds, he loves this character. He 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 embraces the madness, the insanity of it. And I said, it's such a one. I was so skeptical about the second movie, but
Mhm.
they did it again. They pulled it off,
Mhm.
done it. And I said to my son, we both went to the cinema to watch this film, and I went, and he enjoyed it, and so did I. And I went, do you know what? I didn't think they would be able to do it. But
Yeah.
something about Ryan Reynolds, Freddie, with this character, he's mining it. He's mining the core of
Yeah.
this, the
It
essence.
really suits his personality because Ryan Reynolds does seem to have like a very sarcastic, kind of ironic kind of sense of humor. And we all know that the version of Deadpool he played in X-Men Origins Wolverine was not
Oh,
great. It was
yeah,
pretty bad. So
yeah,
like so it's amazing for that he's gotten a second chance and a third and a fourth to like kind of like bring it back and do it more faithfully to the comics, because I think he and the studios realized that people want to see something more like the comics and they want it, and you can have fun with that. And are you excited for this upcoming Deadpool Wolverine movie in July?
yeah. I think Hugh Jackman is the perfect foil. I think he's the perfect foil for Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. Hugh Jackman, yeah. I
Yeah,
I I think they are the perfect foil for each other. This is like the Dumb and Dumber of the superhero genre.
yeah,
Without,
and
without
they're
a
actually
doubt.
friends in real life.
Yeah, this is Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels in Dumb and Dumber on the superhero scale for me, and I think they are going to absolutely nail it.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. Like I think I'm a little bit nervous about it just because, you know, this is the first Deadpool movie under the Disney MCU banner, and
Yeah, I feel your pain. Yeah, I feel you. Yeah.
like we don't know, if that's going to make a difference, but like I think it's going to, from what they've told us and from what we've seen, I think it's going to still have the same quality as the first two, and hopefully it'll be a lot of fun. And I'm definitely going to try and see it as soon as I can. And um, I do question if, because if it's an R-rated movie, will it be as big a hit as like a PG-13 movie or a PG movie? Because we just saw this week. I think Inside Out is like the biggest release of the year so far, and that's like a family movie. So,
Yeah.
those are the ones that make more money and get more big box office. But we'll see.
I think this will be massive, Freddie. I think this will be, yeah, because Deadpool, the first Deadpool film, and yeah, both of them, and I think it's down to, and what I also think it's down to is they really do, the two of them are on board for doing that whole social media promotion.
Oh yeah, they have been promoting the hell out of this movie. Like they promoted it at the Super Bowl. They dropped the first trailer. They've been dropping posters and trailers, and like you said, Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds have been both on social media, on the TV shows, and everything, promoting this film. So
it will only ramp up. It will only get, and you mark my words, like we've seen quite a lot of promotion for this film, but mark my words, those two boys there in this poster right there, those two boys are going to ramp it up, right up until the premiere, right up until
listen, can we just talk about the fact that Wolverine is finally wearing the blue and yellow costume, and he's got to be wearing the mask. Like we've seen promotional material of him wearing a mask, but we haven't seen a clip of it from the trailers yet. But either they're going to CGI it on, or they're going to actually have a physical one. I don't know, but we better get it, because if we don't, I think a lot of us will be very disappointed. Like, how could you tease us like this? Like,
will you be disappointed? I mean, I'm not.
Hell yeah, because like this, like I didn't think we would get another Hugh Jackman and Wolverine movie, and so like after Logan, everybody was like, "This is great. We can end it here." He had a great run. Like he's been one of the longest running superhero actors in history, as far as I know. So like for him to come back is amazing, and to make it more comic book accurate, finally give him the yellow and blue, amazing. I mean, if he doesn't wear the mask, it won't ruin the movie for me, but I think that they have to do it because why not? This is their only opportunity. Get it in, right?
I think they might have a scene where he wears the mask, and obviously in live action, in real life, it will look so silly. It will look so stupid that Deadpool, aka Ryan Reynolds, will have to make a joke of it. What are you doing? Like, why are you hello, I know you are, that kind of shtick, which I am fully on board for. I'm on board for that.
I mean, even if it's only like a minute or two, I'll take it. But like, I think they'll give us a lot of masks. Like Deadpool wears a mask for most of the movie.
Yes.
And that was one of the important changes for these movies versus like the X-Men Origins Wolverine one, because they tried to not give him a mask, and we saw how that went. It was horrible.
Yes, it was depressing.
Yeah. So, and then they gave us that little tease of the mask. I think it was in Logan, or was it Wolverine 2? And when he was in Japan, like at the end, there was like a suitcase, and it had the mask in it, and it was the brown and tan and gold one.
Yes, that was it. Yeah, and it was all that was and that was in line with the X-Men comics of the time. So
yeah,
that's kind of dated at the moment, isn't it?
So they just need to stop teasing me. I want the real thing, at least for a moment.
So you've got a lot of, it sounds like you've got a lot of a lot of hope riding on this one, mate?
I mean, just a little bit. Not, I wouldn't say a lot. Like this is the only MCU movie coming out this year, so it's kind of a big deal in that sense. Um, and to me, that's a signal that they really are trying to put more effort into each release and make sure each release has everything going for it. And while we're on this topic, we should probably mention that there's been more reports about the Blade movie. They lost another director. That movie can't get made for some reason. But maybe by the time they actually do make it, maybe they'll finally find the right group of people to make it happen. Because, like, we're going to talk about Blood Hunt later. Like, this is the material right here. Like, you have a story featuring Blade as the main character, pretty much. Yeah, he's kind of a villain this time around. Spoiler alert. But at least it's something new that we haven't seen with Blade, and like maybe they can make a movie out of that by the time they get around to it. I don't know.
And it is superb. It is superb. That Blood Hunt.
It's a big event of the summer. Like I was surprised by how impressed I was, because I didn't. We'll talk more about it later, but before we finish up, I want to see if you have any more thoughts about Wolverine or Deadpool before we move on from that one.
Well, for me, Deadpool, Wolverine, WWIII is a good read, and I think you can even jump onto that if you're new. If you're new,
yeah,
you haven't got to read 1,000 comics beforehand. I think you can jump on that. Joe Kelly, he's been around for years. So is Cuba, been around for years. He's, my little minor gripe about it being horizontal, not vertical, and vice versa, and all that. Forget about that. And even if you don't want to pick the floppies up, the 3 or 4 issues, I don't know if it's 3 or 4, Freddie, but
I think it might be 3.
It's just
one more issue.
It's a nice tie-in to the film. If you like the character, but only from the movies, then yeah, pick this up. It's a good read. It's a decent read.
And also, I do want to just mention that there was another Adam Kubert Wolverine Deadpool team up not that long ago in Wolverine's solo title. I think it was around issue, I want to say 23. I can't remember the exact numbers off the top of my head, but it was the art was just as good. The story was pretty fun and self-contained. Like, it was part of a longer ongoing series, but I'm sure that there's a trade collection out there. And I would just recommend that as well for anyone who's looking for some comics while they wait for the movie to come out.
Excellent.
All right. While we're on the topic of X-Men, let's talk a bit about X-Men Heir of Apocalypse. So is this something you're reading?
Oh, no. Was it issue 1 out this week?
Issue 1 came out this week, hot off the heels of the fall of the House of X and just the end of the Krakoan era.
Yeah,
so
and blah blah blah. Now,
right.
Now, so, it's connected to anything.
So this is set in current continuity with the X-Men, but I wouldn't say that it's impenetrable. It's like a fresh start. It's a very basic storyline, so to speak, because like this goes back to, I remember when I first started reading the X-Men, there was this Apocalypse storyline called the 12, where there were 12 mutants, and they were trying to resurrect Apocalypse or something back then. And this was in the late 90s, I believe. So like this happens every so often. Now he's like trying to find an heir because all of his real heirs died recently, and he wants to pick one of the mutants. And so we see a familiar cast of characters. We see Danny Moonstar, we see Cable, we see Forge, we see Monet, we see Wolverine, Laura Kinney, we see Richter. We might even see more of them down here. Cypher, Armageddon Girl, Emma Frost, Mr. Sinister. Archangel, and Sunfire, who both have a really long history with Apocalypse. So, if you're interested in any of those characters,
so there's not too many characters in it.
there's a lot, but you know,
they've kept it really basic. I'm glad they've kept it basic.
I will say that this story does a good job of introducing you to each of the characters and letting you know briefly what they're about. It's written by Steve Fox, who's pretty good at you know, managing the cast of the X-Men.
Has he done? Bearing in mind, Freddie, I don't know a lot of. Well, I don't know anything about the modern day X-Men.
Yeah,
what has Steve Fox done? What's his track record?
So he's relatively new, but he's had several X-Men books under his belt recently. He started, I think, with the X-Men 92 comic book adaptations. He did one that was like a summary of the Krakoan era. It was like 4 issues, and it was in the style of the 90s cartoon, but it told the story of the Krakoa comics, which sounds crazy, but like it was very new reader friendly. And he pulled it off. Like, it was fun. It was not as dense as the comic books that it's based off of. Okay. So I highly recommend that. Maybe I can pull it up here because he's done a couple different X books, and he often collaborates with Steve Fox. No, Steve Fox collaborates with Steve Orlando. So we call them the Steves because we got 2 Steves working on these books here.
The 2 Steves.
And they do, and they do a lot of X books. Oh, so wow. He did the Dead X-Men book recently, which you can see right here. He did X-Men. He's doing the Spider-Woman book currently. Some Deadpool. Dark X-Men.
Did he just do Spider-Ham? Did you just show me a picture that he did Spider-Ham?
Maybe. I don't know too much about this one.
A pig in
Spider-Ham, a pig in time.
Wow. Yeah. No, I know that. I know that's off topic, but yes, I'm in for that.
Are you a big fan of Spider-Ham?
Yes. Don't make me sing the song from The Simpsons.
No, that was Spider Pig. You got me singing it now. Does whatever a Spider Pig does.
That's it.
Yeah, but this is the X-Men House of XDII 92. So it's only 5 issues.
Right.
But it's pretty good. It's a light read. It's fun. I highly recommend it. And he also did the recent X-Men 92 comic book based off of the show right here. So we've been following that a bit on DMV Comic Book Nerds. Only 3 issues are out so far.
I've picked that up, and I've kind of enjoyed it as as far as it goes, as light reading. You know, as an old crusty X-Men fan, you know, moaning about what they're doing with all the characters at the moment. As far as that goes, these are the classic characters that I love, and and I know they're bringing out, they're starting it all again, and hopefully we'll get together and then discuss these new issue 1s in another video. But these are the characters that make the X-Men, and you can bring in the odds and the sods. You know, you can do everything around the fringes. You can do it for X-Men. You can do it with the Fantastic Four. You can do it with the Avengers. Whatever, you can do it with the Justice League. You know, doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be Marvel. But essentially, these are the characters that the audiences fell in love with, and these are the characters that have made these comics so popular and strong, and the animated series and the films and everything. So when you drift too far off and make it either too political, too boring, too, you know, of the moment, Don't make it of the moment. Just tell the story. Just, it's all there. Whatever political nuance you want to include in your story when you're writing X-Men, it was there from the mid-60s. Stan Lee, he put it in there. That's why they're called the X-Men. That's why they're all the odds. They're all the, you know, we don't go there because it gets boring. But you know what I'm getting at, Freddie.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I think one of the challenges of the X-Men
in society
yeah, like you were saying, it is, the X-Men is a huge cast of characters, but these characters that we see here, you know, these are some of the most iconic ones and the ones that people are most familiar with. And so I think a lot of comic book fans like myself, we tend to fall in love with the more Z-list characters, the more like people at the bottom of the barrel that no one knows about. And we want to see them. And then when they're gone, we're mad. We're like, where is Blob? Where is Sync?
Where's Blob? Yeah.
but then as a longtime fan, I do respect the fact that, you know, every once in a while we gotta reset the status quo. We gotta shine a light on the main characters that people came to see, and hopefully the lesser known characters will get some attention here and there as the stories go on. Maybe even they might break out and get their own comics. Who knows? It happens. So there's that, and like you said, it's also a storyline that, you know, there is some politics baked into it from the beginning. It is a mutant minority of it represents the minorities in real life and the struggles that we get into, and I think that makes it relatable for a lot of people. So I love these X-Men books. I will say that
that edge that X-Men had since issue 1, because they are others. They're others in society. I love the fact that there's that edge to it, but don't make, just for me, with the films, with the movies, just don't make that the whole reason you've just made a movie. The fact that they're, you know, they're others, they're different, they're listed in society. Yeah, have that in there. Don't dismiss it. Always include it, because that's why a lot of science fiction, superhero comics, whatever you want to, all this stuff we love, it's all baked in. It's all baked in. I think what a lot of these creators have been lost in is the message. And no, it's not that. The message is there within a great story. Within a great story, you can make every one of those characters shine. And don't do too many. Just do your 3 or 4 or 5. And you can get your message in. But
oh no, with X-Men it's going to be at least 12, like in this book.
Oh,
I got at least 12.
La 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 la.
Like, if you want a smaller team, go see the Avengers or go hang out with Spider-Man. The X-Men, I got a lot of people that are going to show up. I do want to highlight this cover. Look at this cover by Greg and Tim Hildebrandt. What do you think of this one?
Oh, Hildebrandt. Yeah, Greg and Tim are always going to deliver. Like,
yeah,
it's not, but is it? I love it as an appreciation of art, but that's not a comic cover, is it?
It's more of a pin-up or a face, or what do you call it, a bust?
It doesn't sell a comic though, does it? It doesn't sell a comic, but as a variant.
I don't buy a lot of variant covers, but I do enjoy looking at them. To be honest,
I'm with you on that. And
like
that's a comic cover.
Yeah, here's one by Ron Lim, a longtime Marvel artist, and great work here.
Yeah.
He managed to fit a whole bunch of the characters on the page.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like the classic X-Men pose of them, coming at each other on both sides of the page or the screen. We see that all the time.
Yeah. No, that's what you need. That yeah.
All right. So I would say this was a fun book. I mean, there are a lot of characters, but I don't think it's too dense for new readers. I think they give each character time to tell you who they are, and they're caught up in an interesting story. I mean, it's not too complicated. You got a big bad guy who's basically testing them all. He's kind of like in the vein of like Arcade or something, because he has like a maze and like a test for them that they have to kind of deal with. So yeah, it's definitely intriguing. I think it's only going to be 4 issues, and I think they're coming out maybe weekly, or if not weekly, soon. So
with Marvel at the moment, it'll probably be weekly. It'll be $10 a week, and it'll be collected in a trade paper.
No,
$20. They love it.
Oh my goodness. I mean, yeah, it is $4.99, but let me see. We've got one that came out this week. The next one comes out June 26th, then July 10th, and then July 31st. So maybe bi-weekly.
Yeah, bi-weekly, yeah. Nice, yeah.
But only 4 issues. And it's a nice little bridge between the Krakoa era and the From the Ashes era that's coming up. So
right.
You can take it or leave it. Like if you miss it, you probably won't miss too much. But if you do pick it up, it might be fun.
Yeah,
I liked it.
My comic shop guy, I went, right, do I get this? Because he knows that I'm gagging. He knows I'm gagging to get back into the X-Men. And these new issue ones, like the Krakoa issue, like is gone. Like that's done now. Krakoa, go.
Yeah.
And he knows that I'm ready. But he said with this one, he kind of said, you don't have to bother with this. It's on the side. Not.
Yeah, you can wait if you.
Yeah, he didn't say it was crap or you don't have. And he just said, no, let's off on the side, and you don't have to. It's nothing to do with a new launch of all these issue 1s, X Factors, and all that. So I did leave that one on the shelf. I've got to say.
That's all right.
There was nothing there to tease me into getting it. If it was one of the old school artists or an old school writer, I would have. I probably would have been, tempted to pick it up, but he just went, and so I just went, nah.
That's all right. Let's move on to the next comic book. I kind of want to talk about the Blood Hunt stuff. What about you?
Yes, go on, kick it off.
All right. So let's start with Blood Hunt number 3, because that's the main book. Here you can see the cover for the Red Band edition. Are you reading the Red Band edition, or are you reading the regular edition?
Do you know what? I wanted to get the Red Band, but I just couldn't. Somehow in the UK, they've proved elusive unless you want to, not pay silly money, but just go above and beyond what you want to do. But
yeah,
what I will say is, with Pepe Larraz, Jed MacKay, I'm not Jed MacKay's biggest fan, but I am a massive fan of Pepe Larraz on the artwork.
Likewise, agreed. Yes. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. Like it's for me, this is the pick of the week. This is the event to be reading this summer. Pepe Larraz's art is unbelievable. Like he's definitely their top tier talent. And I mean that's why he was a big draw for me on the X books of the Krakoan era. So so to see him here, I really hope and pray that he will finish the entire official miniseries of Blood Hunt, because I always hate when they get a fill-in artist at the last minute.
Yeah,
And sometimes the fill-in artists are great, but I just want to see the consistency. That's what I want.
Yes, don't do that. Don't do that with this, please, Marvel, because Marvel are really guilty of doing that. They just
And DC too.
Not so much, but
Uh,
Marvel. I
from
love
what I remember, Infinite Crisis, Final Crisis, all the crises, like they always had like or someone dropping out at the last minute. From what I remember,
maybe because I'm not as much of a DC fan, I've never noticed it. But with Marvel recently, last year or two, it's like, my God, can't you just wait to release a series of comics, just one storyline of five or six issues, but please God, keep it to the same writer and artist.
Yeah, sometimes I would rather wait and get the same team than have it released quickly with a fill-in artist.
That's it. And the worst one, the worst case of this has been with Incredible Hulk. And I've been loving that book. I've been loving it since day one. But my God, they just suddenly stop and give you another, and it's so jarring. It's so. But anyway, that's another comic. Blood Hunt. For anyone,
all right, let's talk a bit. Go ahead.
For anyone watching this and listening in, this is a very intriguing and different way of, and we're only halfway through, and I'm loving it. You know when you, Freddie, you know when you think you've seen it and heard it all, and you go, oh, here's another crossover event. Oh God, and your head goes down.
Yeah.
Oh, it's another crossover event for the summer.
That's how I felt at first. I was like, oh, Blood Hunt. Yeah. Oh, vampires. Oh. Like, oh, 50 issues of tie-ins. Like, I was not excited for it at all.
But I've got to spend about £500, dollars, whatever it is, to keep up with all this shit.
But then when I read it, I was like, oh, okay, I'm here for it. Like the first issue hit me in a way I honestly don't know if I felt since, like, I want to say Civil War. For me, that was a big one in the mid 2000s.
Yeah, I was in. No, I'm with you there. No, I was in. It was like, this is an intriguing proposal. This is, and the way that, and the other thing I like, a bit like what DC did with Night Terrors, you didn't have to get every single issue.
Yeah.
So this Blood Hunt,
yeah, because it's only 5 issues, the main series. That's the first thing that appealed to me. I'm like, okay, well, I'll try maybe the 5-issue main event, and if I am not interested, then I won't get any of the tie-ins. But guess what? I like the main event, and some of the tie-ins have intrigued me. So, like, I'm reading a couple of them. I'm not reading everything, but, like, I like Black Panther Blood Hunt. I like we'll talk about a couple of the other ones that I've read this week, like Dracula Blood Hunt. What's another one that's on the list? Let's just go through the list here. We've got there's a bunch that I'm not reading, but I will say I read what's this one here? Midnight Suns.
Because of
Union Jack.
Because of Kev Walker's artwork, he's British. I'm British.
Yeah.
That was very, very good.
Cool. Yeah, I'm not familiar with Kev. I am familiar with Kev Walker. I didn't know he was British, though. That's cool.
Yes, yeah, he started off in 2000 AD, and with Judge Dredd and stuff like that. Yeah, but what I liked about it is they're allowing you the room, the breathing space to either buy that or not.
Yeah.
Seemed to be a solid 5 issues of the main Blood Hunt, even as massive as it is. they're giving us all space to kind of dip in and out of the side stories, which
Definitely.
which I think is good, because this Union Jack one was really off the side. It was so far off the side. I thought, that's good. The Dracula one, I thought the first issue, it was Blade's daughter. It was Briella, whatever her name is, Briella. I think they should have just done that. They should have just done Briella, whatever they want to call her. Give her a name, for God's sake. Let's give Blade a character name.
So Brielle Brooks is the new character, his daughter. She did have an introductory miniseries called Bloodline.
Yeah.
Blade's daughter or something like that. And it was so I don't know if Bloodline is her name, but they do reference it in this story. And let me pull that up really quick because she is a new character. She is still finding herself. She's still kind of like she seems to be a main player in this story, so I'm excited to see where that goes. And this book, Dracula Blood Hunt, is by her creator, Danny Lore. So here you can see the creative team: Danny Lore, Vincenzo Caratu. I will say the artist to me on the Dracula book seemed to be the closest to Pepe Larraz in style of all the tie-ins I've seen so far.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that.
I was just a little bit disappointed that it was not Dracula, it was her. But
oh, really? See, I'm the reverse. Like I felt like I want to see if they're going to give us Blade's daughter, then make the story about her, make it interesting. But like I kind of felt like Dracula was kind of taking it away from her because now this title is Dracula and not Brielle Brooks or Bloodline or whatever. So and then it starts out with Dracula, and so it's kind of interesting compared to the Bloodline miniseries that came out last year. Just the changes the change of the direction that they're taking, and you've got, spoiler alert, you've got Dracula and Brielle teaming up to fight Blade, who is the bad guy in the situation. So this is kind of a crazy setup, and I'm kind of excited to see where it goes.
Yeah,
what are your thoughts?
Cool. It is a cool setup, Freddie, without a doubt. And I'm a fan of Marvel horror from all the way back. So if you want to start talking about, I don't know, Ghost Rider, Tomb of Dracula, all the old 70s stuff.
I'm a big Ghost Rider fan myself, and we'll talk about that when we get to Midnight Suns. But yeah, Marvel horror.
I thought that was very cool. I really enjoyed that. Because they wasn't, there was nothing else other than the storytelling. It was both Ghost Riders as well.
Yep.
It was Johnny Blaze and
Danny Ketch.
I was going to say Danny Rand then, but that's fucking away. Anyway, I thought, oh, look at that cover. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And Brian Hill is bringing it. Whatever he's doing on the main Blade comic that recently kind of finished. They kind of done a 12. I think it was 12 issues.
Yeah, I read that recently. I just finished it up.
Of Blade, I loved it. I could hear. Not that I needed to, but I could hear Wesley Snipes in my ears as I was reading.
Yeah, I feel like this is why I'm so confused as to why they're struggling to make a movie. These comic book artists and writers are going out of their way to say, look, this is how you do it. These are the stories you could tell. Why don't they get Brian Hill or Jed McKay to write the movie?
Yeah.
Or at least base the story off of their stories, because that's what
you do that. But like I say, I'm kind of pre-conditioned to really enjoy this whole blood hunt thing.
Awesome.
But
like, look at this cover.
Yeah.
This is by Dave Wachter. Nice blood red. He's like out in the rain or something. It's kind of cool. It's got his swords. Here's one with here's one by Declan Shalvey with the Ghost Riders on it. You got
that's weird and wonderful, to be fair. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I'm enjoying.
You got the blood-soaked variant.
Overall, I think there was one, Freddie, that I didn't enjoy. So Union Jack, we done. The main blood hunt.
Quick question: does Union Jack have your official seal of approval as a Briton yourself?
Yeah. Just, and it's nothing to do with being British. It is just a cool inclusion into the overall story. The way they've done it, and it is down for me. It's Kev Walker on the artwork.
I see it's got the parental advisory on it. A lot of books these days are starting to have that parental advisory there.
Let's get back to that. Yeah, no comics code. We don't want no comics code.
Are you a fan of Union Jack, or do you prefer Captain Britain as more of like a British superhero, or do you just not care about whether they're British or not?
Yeah, I mean, they kind of through the dialogue, they kind of go a little bit over the top with Union Jack. But
I mean, he is wearing the flag. He's wearing the flag.
Yeah.
It's like Captain America in that sense. Yeah, you know, so Captain America is the same.
I don't need to see. No, I don't need to see it. But it's nice. I think the way they've done it is very. What's the guy in Mary Poppins? The actor in the
Dick
film.
Van Dyke.
Yeah. The dialogue in this comic, I've got to say, he's very Dick Van Dyke. He's very. So, it's all like, hello, Mary Poppins,
I think Dick Van Dyke just turned 98 recently. Like, he is still kicking. He's still winning awards, still acting. Like, I think everybody loves Dick Van Dyke.
Everyone does. So he might as well play like Union Jack in the next movie of the Blood
Why
Hunt.
not? I'd watch it. All right.
But there was one. I was trying to find the lame
Blood Hunt tie-in.
Yeah, the lame Blood Hunt tie-in. I don't know what it was, but anyway, when I think of it, I'll tell you what it was. Sorry, yeah, here it is. Strange Academy.
Okay, yeah, I'm not reading that right now. You said you didn't like it?
This was a beautiful comic. This was a great read. Like when Strange Academy, when it was when it was, years ago, when it was just I don't know who was writing it. But it was
the previous series.
Yeah, the previous series was so good. But what they've done, the premise of the Strange Academy was Doctor Strange, and it was Dr. Voodoo in New Orleans. They open up a school for all the youngsters to get involved. Okay. Oh, did Scott Young write it? Oh,
yeah, the original series in 2020.
Original series from Berto Ramos. I've been a fan of his since year dot, since he did Impulse.
Okay.
I think that was one of the first things he ever drew. Anyway.
Wow. I was a big fan of him since the Spider-Man stuff he did. Like, he's been on Spider-Man a long time.
Ramos is a glorious artist. Love his stuff. Anything.
And he's still on the covers here on this. Is he doing the interiors?
And that drew me in and that drew me in. But whoever was writing it,
so here's the credits for the current series. We got Daniel Jose Older as the writer and Eric Gapster as the artist, with Luigi Zagaria.
yeah,
It's not to your liking?
No. Issue 1, honestly, issue 1, because it was children, it was a childish. It's almost like they aimed at a glorious cover. Don't get me wrong. And I've got both collections of the Strange Academy, the first one, and then the final exam, whatever they called it. And then this came out. But just because they're teenagers doesn't mean you've got to write like
a kiddie adventure.
Oh, yeah, thank you for that. It doesn't.
Yeah, like
got to do that. And issue 1 of this, yeah, that was very disappointing. But I still listen. Look, that's how much of a completist fanboy idiot I am. Issue 2, and I'll get issue 3 because there's only 3 issues. But that is the weakest. That is the weakest. All of the, but generally, but to bring it back to positivity, Blood Hunt main series awesome. Union Jack is great. There's one other one. Is there not another Blood Hunt?
There's a whole bunch. Like, look at this. You got Vengeance of the Moon Knight. I'm not reading Vengeance of the Moon Knight. I'm behind on Spider-Man. What were you saying?
No, Freddie, I know what one it was. It was Doctor Strange.
Okay.
And the tie-in with the Doctor Strange tie-in to Blood Hunt is absolutely spot on. It is
what?
It's spot on. It is really, really good. It is.
I mean, I liked it. It made me pick up Doctor Strange when I've been behind. Like, I've been wanting to catch up on Doctor Strange ever since he died. Like, I've missed the death of Doctor Strange, and I'm kind of behind on the new stuff. But I finally picked up this issue. I was like, number 15. I was like, I want to see what happened after Blood Hunt number 1, because that was crazy the way it ended. And then I was surprised to find Pascal Ferry on the art, because I'm a big fan of Pascal Ferry. Like, his art's a little more cartoony than some, so your mileage may vary, but I like it. And Jed MacKay is writing this as well, so you got a similar consistency.
This is your first issue of Doctor Strange.
My first issue of more recent books of Doctor Strange. Like, I've read Doctor Strange books in the past, but I've been behind on his current books.
Oh wow! So Freddie, when this comes out, if it's in trade format, or you can pick up, because there's nothing happening, there's no key issues or anything. If you can pick up the floppies, the first 14 before this one, I tell you what, and I was doubtful, obviously, because where I do the weekly comic reviews, there was a couple of moments where I was getting a bit, it was my whinge of the week, like, what are they doing with Doctor Strange and Clear and blah, blah. So I had a couple of whinges, but do you know what? MacKay and Ferry on this book, especially leading into this Blood Hunt, and there has been some really great issues, just one-off issues, or 1 and 2 issues. Yeah, very, very good.
Awesome. I have to say, we can't forget to mention Alex Ross on covers. Like, I'm a huge Alex Ross fan. He always brings beautiful work, so it's like,
of course he does. Yeah, I think he has he's got a whole kind of school of artists now that are helping him. So he will, what a beautiful cover that is for Doctor Strange.
Yeah. Very old school, and like the way it looks like a vampire. Dracula.
Wong is gonna get it. Wong is getting it.
He is gonna get it for sure. I'm definitely gonna be reading more Doctor Strange to try and catch up, because I've enjoyed the sneak peek into the current book there. And look at it, it's got 4,400 pulls on League of Comic Geeks. Like that's one of the biggest amounts I've seen.
Wow.
We've been because like I think the main Blood Hunt book was in the 3,000s, wasn't it? Let me go back to that one.
I don't even look at the. Obviously, I'm too old.
I mean, these numbers are meaningless, but as far as League of Comic Book Geeks, it's kind of interesting to see. I think, just which issues are most pulled, because it gives you a vague sense of how popular a book is. Like Blood Hunt number 3 has 3,400.
I don't think it's meaningless in this new era, in this new format. No, I don't think it's meaningless.
Well, I just mean in the sense that the number of pulls on this website is not necessarily the number of sales the book had. Like right. I don't know if it's an indicator of sales data, but it just shows that it's popular and that there's interest. So, let's see. Was there any other Blood Hunt books you want to talk about?
No, I think that covers. I think that covers all the Blood Hunt books to be at the moment. Yeah, because I'm not picking up. I will be honest. I'm not picking up every single one.
Me neither. I will say I was reading the Avengers. I do want to point that out because Jed MacKay is like the rising star at Marvel. Like you can see this poster behind me. He's doing the current Avengers title, and I guess the success on that led him to do Blood Hunt. He's also been I've heard good things about his run on Moon Knight. I haven't read it, but he did Moon Knight. He's been doing Doctor Strange. He's been doing all these books. So, and now he's going to be on the new adjectiveless X-Men title next month. So he's getting all the headline books.
Yeah,
he seems to be the main talent right now.
He does. Yes, he does seem to be that. I will reserve my critique of Jed MacKay for another video, another time. I'm not
really. I kind of want to hear it.
No, it's a bit like Jonathan Hickman. It's like every writer that comes across now, and that comes out with 1 or 2 issues of a hit comic. It's like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. Oh my God, this is the new legend. No, I don't.
You have to earn it. You have to earn it to be considered one of the greats.
He hasn't done the best Moon Knight. He hasn't done the best. Jed MacKay hasn't written anything for me the best ever. No, that's what you're showing now. No, he hasn't.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like, he hasn't, like, until Blood Hunt, I didn't really think he was that great. But Blood Hunt is so good. I'm starting to think maybe he is kind of great. Maybe he deserves to be on all these main titles. And with the X-Men book coming out next month, we'll see more evidence if we can decide if we like him or not. I'll give him a chance because I want good talent on all these books, and I'll be honest, my complaint about the Avengers title that he's doing right now is less about him and more about the art. Like the art isn't bad, but it's just a little disappointing to see all these Stuart Immonen covers, and then Stuart Immonen is not doing the interiors like he was back in the day. Like I was a big fan of his art as well. And then now he's not doing the covers or the interiors anymore. But you've got Joshua Cassara on the newer the Blood Hunt tie-in Avengers issues, and it's not bad. Well, is he doing the interiors? I think he's not. Where is that? Avengers.
Jed MacKay, I'm not saying he's a hack. Like I'm not saying he's just like useless, but it's just one of those names that keeps popping up, and you think, well, it's almost like if you go on social media and you get involved in everything and the whole comic community, it's like I need to love him. A bit like, and I will say, a bit like Hickman. It's like everything Hickman does, I've got to love. No,
Oh no, see, I'm definitely not that
no,
kind of reader. Like personally, I am a Hickman fan, but I also have complaints, and and criticisms. Like I don't think he's a perfect writer, and I've always kind of been vocal about you know what I like and what I don't like. So like, feel free to share any critiques as well as praise that you have for any of these creators, because
yeah.
nobody's perfect. So,
But I can't
but
speak for the Avengers. I haven't been picking it up. Nothing about it. A bit like with the X-Men, and I know it kind of probably shows my age, but the Avengers, X-Men, yeah, nah, nothing about it is intriguing me enough. Like, oh, do I really want to look at this team up, this team of however many characters it is? Do I really, am I interested? And my answer has been no. Up until the relaunch of the X-Men, which is obviously imminent, no, it doesn't intrigue me. No, but and I know that's a bit boring. It's a bit old, but I am old and I am boring. But what
I,
what most of these teams will do is go back to the original format. So
yeah,
that's all I'm waiting for. I'm
like
waiting for them to wake up and go, oh, should we do what everyone used to enjoy back in the day? And the editor goes, yeah, yeah, yeah. Should we do that? Should we try that? And he looks around the table, the creators table. He goes, should we do what all the audience really? Yeah, 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 yeah. And that's what I'm waiting. That's what I'm waiting for, and including the Avengers. There's nothing in the Avengers that, yeah.
well, I mean, to Jed McKay's credit, in these Blood Hunt tie-in issues of Avengers, he is kind of like going back to old material. Like some have compared this to Cap's Kooky Quartet in Avengers 16, way back in the 60s, because um, you have Captain America, you have a bunch of Avengers who are from all different walks of life, and they're not on the original group of, like, they're not the main team of Avengers. Like right now, it's Captain Marvel, Black Panther, Iron Man, uh, Captain America, Sam Wilson, Vision, and Scarlet Witch, and Thor. But like, but they're involved in the main Blood Hunt book. But the Avengers tie-in issues have like this whole secondary team of Captain America, Kate Bishop, Hawkeye, um, Hercules, and who's this? Hazmat.
I love that cover.
Yeah, that's a fun one. So it's interesting. Like I will say, Jed McKay, from what I've seen so far, he is pulling from the history. And I saw there was an issue of Avengers recently all about Jarvis, which I was excited to see because you rarely see Jarvis these days. He's kind of like a relic of the past sometimes because they're always trying to update things. But this was the original Jarvis, and they even referenced a story from, I think, was it from the Roy Thomas era? I'm not sure, but it was pretty interesting. It made me go back and read some of the older books again because I'm always like picking up from different eras.
Will be from decades ago. If he's referencing Jarvis, yeah, it'll be decades ago.
It was this issue right here, issue number 11. You had a whole Jarvis focused issue. I mean, it was a subplot, but he's there on the cover.
I object. I object to the way that the English butler is being. No, I find it offensive.
That he's drinking tea there.
Yes, I find that highly offensive, and I need to have that comic cover cancelled right now.
Oh, sorry.
Edwin Jarvis. No, stop searching for Jarvis.
No,
No.
I gotta show you the cover of the
No,
one
I'm finding
where.
it offensive. No, don't do that, Freddie. No.
Listen. I gotta show it to you. This is the one that it was based off of, and he was instead
Oh,
of tea, he had a vacuum cleaner. This Stand
wow.
Back Avengers. This is the one where Jarvis takes over.
Oh, is that that is a Perez cover as well? Actually.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
George Perez, and it was a Jim Shooter and David Michelin story.
oh yeah, Michelin. And he was on Iron Man back in the day. David Michelin. You know, like all the kind of Tony Stark, Iron Man we know and love. Um, I'm sure I had some Perez Avengers here.
Oh yeah, that was a classic era. Him and Kurt Busiek um, restarted the title.
Who's
Um,
I've got no. That's all I've got Avengers wise. I'm sure I had the Korvac saga that,
uh-huh.
that was around that era that you just put up there.
Yeah.
Anyway, I won't dig too deep into all of this. All of these back. No.
All right. Well, that kind of concludes my stack for this week. Is there anything else on your stack that you want to talk about?
So I'll tell you what I would love to talk to you about, because you obviously a big Marvel fan, Freddie.
Yep.
Ultimate X-Men.
Ultimate X-Men. Okay.
Okay, we've spoke about the traditional X-Men, everything traditional. What
Mm-hmm.
are your thoughts before I give my 2 pence worth? What are your thoughts on it?
I'll tell you the truth. I read the first issue and it wasn't for me. Like I didn't particularly like it, so I'm gonna let people who really like it read it and enjoy it. Because I mean, Peach Momoko is very popular. This
Yep,
book is very popular. Um, it's got 5,771 pulls on the first issue.
yep,
If we go to the most recent issue that came out, I think that was number 4. Was it?
yep.
Issue number 4 got 6,994 pulls on League of Comic Bookies. So like it's a popular book. It's just not for me. Like I'm not a huge manga fan, and so the style is like it's not something that I seek out. But like I can appreciate that it's told with a lot of great care and love. Like Peach Momoko puts a lot of care into her work. It's very artistic. I like the watercolors, but it's just not for me. What about you?
No, so what you said was exactly how I thought. Um, well, it was my fear for this comic. It was that anyone who's into the X-Men, like, and I said to you about an hour ago about all of the traditional X-Men characters, we was having a discussion about Deadpool, Wolverine, and it goes on from there. All the characters that I fell in love with, right? Well, none of them are here. None of them are here. And I thought that was the biggest uh, my biggest fear for this comic was that it was a step too far for X-Men fans. I think the only mistake Marvel have made is including this in the Ultimate range, in the Ultimate titles, and calling it X-Men. Like, just call it something else. Let Peach Momoko just go off the rails, which she does. I love her stuff. I love her madness. Anything she does is as mad as a bag of frogs, and she brings something to whatever characters and whatever genre she's doing. I mean, the Demon Wars. I think I've got the Demon Wars stuff there, and it was like I don't understand it, but it looks beautiful. So all right, I'll go with it. but when you put X-Men on a on the front page of a comic, when you put that title, I've got my biggest fear was that a lot of people will be disappointed. A lot of hardcore X-Men fans will say, "This isn't X-Men."
Yeah, it's divisive, of course, because I've heard a lot of that sentiment, and probably myself as well. Like, we're all kind of saying, like, as the X-Men fans, we're all kind of saying, this is not what it advertises. Like, why do they have to call it that? But at the same time, it is one of the more popular books, and there is a huge appetite for manga and just Japanese influenced artwork and stories for a totally different audience. So like, it's not for me, but if people are enjoying it, maybe it's for them, and that's fine. Like, like
No,
I mean, I agree with you. I wish they did give it a different title, but I'm also wondering if they will bring it around to tie into everything else that's going on in the Ultimate books right now, because it is weird that like this book is over here, and then the Ultimate stuff is over here. Are they
yes,
going to come together, or is it just going to continue to be separate?
I don't know the answer to that, Freddie, but it's with this Ultimate stuff, they've got an excuse with Spider-Man, Ultimate Spider-Man, and Ultimate Black Panther, both of which I am also enjoying.
Me too.
They're just off. They're just off piste. They're just enough to, a bit like the Ultimate stuff that they did 20 years ago. It was,
Mm-hmm.
if you remember that stuff.
Absolutely. We had to talk about this last week where like I actually came into comics with the original Ultimate titles in the 2000s. Like that was some of the first stuff I was really into, and I still have a fondness for it. I think it fell off as it went on, but that's why I'm very kind of picky about this new Ultimate stuff, because I'm like, is there a good reason for them to do this right now? And that's why I'm even critical of Jonathan Hickman. I'm like, I don't know, because like I was not a big fan of his stuff on the old Ultimate books, because he came in at the end of it, and then now he's coming bringing it back. And I never liked the Maker, not a big fan of him. Uh, so I mean, I'm willing to give it a chance, but I just kind of wondering what's the point of it, because like for me, the point of Ultimate books is to put a fresh, modern spin on these classic characters, and to kind of it kind of is an opportunity to do something different. But then you run the risk of doing something that's too different. So it's kind of like a fine balancing act. So I don't know. Like, I mean, I'm fine with just reading the regular 616 books. Like, that's fine with me. So I don't know. What about you?
Well, when they did, for me, when they did the original Ultimate Spider-Man and X-Men, they were the two big ones, weren't they?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the Ultimates, Mark Millar and Brian Hitch.
Yeah, but what they all were, well, the Ultimates was like a finite series. It was almost like an Elseworlds, like, or a What If. What if, what if the Avengers were in the real world?
Yeah.
Because it was never ever anything to do with all of the other comics that were coming out every month. It was never anything to do with that. And that's why it was so awesome. It was like someone's take. It was someone's what if. It was someone's alternative take. It was Miller's take on that. Right. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, and it was glorious. I mean, I've got the the big I've got the big bastard edition up there of all of the issues, love it, love it. And Brian Hitch's artwork, he can't
Yeah.
he can't draw anything unless it's large, everything
Yeah.
large.
It was
So
it was like a widescreen comic. It was like, and like I actually credit the Ultimates book for for being a big inspiration for the MCU. Like right at the beginning, you have Sam Jackson in the comic book as Nick Fury, which they ultimately did get Sam Jackson to play Nick Fury. And then like on top of that, just like the backgrounds Brian Hitch drew, like it to me, I remember it looked like New York City. Like it looked very realistic. And I was stunned when I was reading this at like 10 years old. I was like, wow, like how did he draw this? And so the new Ultimate books that are coming out this year, they don't quite have that level of like talent in the artwork. Like, I mean, there is some talent there, but it's not like on the same level for me.
No, and it seems like it's already a limited series. It's like I wish they would just do it as like the Ultimate Spider-Man over there. It's I don't know.
Well, everything is a limited series these days because they don't know what's going to sell well enough to keep publishing. Like they're like, well, maybe if we do 10 issues here, 5 issues there, if it sells well, we'll renew it and slap a new number 1 on it.
Yeah, just one trade paperback and we'll be all right. Like 8, 10, 12 issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just comes across. I think if you just look at it as an Elseworlds or a What If, it's all right. They're all right. The Black Panther one is all right. Did we need it? No. I'd rather see a strong Black Panther story now. But
I'm excited for both Black Panther books, both the Ultimate one and the Blood Hunt tie-in. Unfortunately, Black Panther's 616 book has been canceled during the Blood Hunt event, but maybe it'll come back in the future. I don't know. But again, we're in the era where everything has to be a new number 1 every so often. So
yeah, that's a shame as well. Well, I suppose it's a shame, but with my business hat on, it's not a shame because every 6 or 8 or 10 or 12 issues you publish, if it's done well, then that makes an excellent trade paperback. And,
true.
And I have, to be fair, because of Threads, I realise how many people they still love comics, they love these characters, but they can't, through circumstances, whether it's money, time, logistics, they can't pick it up every month, but they read.
Yeah, so that's a great option for some readers. Like you're right, there's definitely pros and cons. Like if number 1s bring in more sales and more attention and more eyes, and then you can publish them later in a collected edition, a trade paperback, a hardcover, an omnibus. Like there's different formats for different readers, and like I hope that Marvel and DC and all the other publishers that they take account of the whole of the readership and not just the ones who are buying the floppies or buying or pre-ordering the books. Like I mean that stuff is important, and if you can do it, absolutely go do it. But a lot of people can't. So like I hope that the people who come later to the books aren't overlooked in terms of which characters are popular or which books are popular, because like there's tons of older stuff that needs to be recognized, I think, and continued and celebrated. That's just my opinion.
I think, and it's valid. It's valid, and I think now the floppies, the monthlies, the physical copies of these comics is almost like, for the publishers, the big 2. I can't talk, like the independents like AWA, Dark Horse and Image, and and I love a lot of their stuff, and most of it is formatted for a collection.
Yep, 6 issues here, maybe 5, maybe 12.
Yeah, it's all formatted for that, and that's fine. That's all great, but it almost seems like sometimes when I pick up old-fashioned me, old-fashioned collector me, picking up a monthly comic book, it seems like it's market research. It almost seems like how many copies are we going to sell, blah blah blah, because we need to know how many trade paperbacks we need to take to print on any particular storyline. I don't just mean for the independents, but even for the Marvel stuff. Right.
Definitely. Yeah, they've got people running the numbers and doing the marketing research and all that because, and not only that, with the Marvel stuff in particular, all the time we're seeing them trying to change the comics to be more like the movies, which is kind of wild because the movies,
Yeah,
they could be more like the comics if they wanted to be. So it's like this whole synergistic relationship where they're trying to like just capitalize off of the popular, like this Avengers book. Like if you look at all the characters on this poster, they're all in the MCU right now,
yeah.
and that's why they're on the team. That's why they're the A-listers of the Avengers right now. But and but that doesn't mean that there's not room for the other characters. Like we still get to see Hercules, we still get to see Hazmat. Um, but there's a new Avengers title coming out soon called Avengers Assemble, which will have even more characters from the movies. You're gonna have Shang-Chi, you're gonna have Photon, you're gonna have I don't know. Maybe I can pull that one back up. But
Yeah. And it's going to be, all it is a dilution of, bring your top five, bring your top five characters, whether you're the X-Men, the Avengers, your Justice League. I mean, look at the Justice League of America. All it is the trinity of those, of Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman. That's it. All right, add Cyborg in, if you want. And who was the other one in the JLA?
Aquaman,
Yeah, exactly.
Martian Manhunter.
Other than that, I mean, look at Avengers Assemble. Really?
Look at this. These are all people who have been in the shows and movies. You got Captain
Yeah.
America, Shang-Chi, Hawkeye, Photon, She-Hulk, Hercules, and Wonder Man. He's got a series coming up. So that's what they're
Freddie,
trying to do. They're trying to promote the comics and the movies at the
W
same
in the
time.
background. Who's the W right at the back? What is that?
That's
Wonder
that's
Man?
Wonder Man. Yep. Because he's going to have a MCU TV show coming out on Disney Plus, I think next year, starring Yahya Abdul-Mateen. So I mean, we'll see if it's interesting or not. I'm hopeful for it. And then you got Jarvis on the side.
Hey, I think Jarvis should have his own series. To be fair.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it could be the inside track. It could be the behind the scenes of the Avengers Mansion.
You know,
And
I think he was like a main character in the Wasp series and the Al Ewing books, and I think there was something called Avengers something. Did you read that recently? Avengers Inc.
no, I didn't. No.
I haven't read it yet. It's on my read list. But I know in the Wasp series, him and the Wasp got together to make Avengers Tower like a lounge where they could have people just come have drinks, and he was like a bartender or something. And I think that carries over. And now they're making the Avengers Mansion like a tourist attraction. So I think it's a whole business now in the comics. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's a cool concept, I've got to say. Not for me,
Mm-hmm.
but and Al Ewing, he does
Yeah,
have
Al Ewing. He's the writer.
Yeah, Al Ewing, he's got a nice view on stuff, whatever he writes. But no, that one wasn't for me.
Okay.
I
want
Avengers instead.
I want to get your opinion on a few bits of news that came out this week. The first bit of news that I want to talk about is they announced an animated Blue Beetle series is in the works at DC Studios. Have you heard about this? Are you interested in this at all?
No, no. Well, I will say no and no.
All right, that's okay. But I will say I am interested in this. Like I really enjoyed the movie that came out last year. I don't read a lot of Blue Beetle comics, but I think an animated series is a great way to continue the story. I think they're bringing back everyone who was in the movie for the most part, and they're also doing this with the Ninja Turtles movie that came out last year. They've got an animated series spinning out off from that coming out soon.
I mean,
So
I did film. I didn't watch the film, but I will say, like the guy in it from Cobra Kai,
yeah,
the actor.
Jolo Majoriera, I think is his name.
Yeah, whatever his name is, like I love Cobra Kai. He's a great actor, but there was
Yeah,
nothing.
he really was a good lead. I think a good lead actor for it.
Oh, cool.
He was charismatic.
Yeah,
He kind of had the quality of like a Spider-Man.
nice. Yeah.
So for Blue Beetle fans, got some good news. Let's go on to another bit of news. I want to just mention that the the Baltimore Comic-Con is happening this year, uh, September 20th, 22nd. So I'm
Yeah.
planning to go, and I want to encourage other nerds in the area to come check it out. I know you probably won't be able to make it all the way from Great Britain, but
Do you know what, Freddie? I've done the Baltimore Comic Con before.
oh, awesome.
I've got, and it was a long, long while ago. I've actually got a signed sketch from Frank Cho,
Cool.
from the Baltimore Comic Con. Oh, here we go. I know I've got the 2012, but it was even before that. I've got the 2012.
Liberty Meadows. Okay. Yeah, that's awesome.
Frank Cho, but it was before that. I've done Baltimore twice, so I've done it once before that, because there's a couple of, for me to travel to the US for back issues, like where it's not a mixed, you go to these cons where it's all cosplay and no comics. They're not the ones for me. I'm not saying don't anyone go to a Comic Con and have fun and cosplay up, and you're into manga, you're into cards, you're into whatever you're into. Let's all get people to the Comic Con. But for me, it's just comics. But Baltimore and what's the other one? There's two that are hardcore comics, but they're the ones I love. So
Yeah,
anyway.
Baltimore does have a good balance of everything. You got tons of back issues that you can and new comics that you can find, and then you've also got some cosplay. You've also got just a bit of everything, panels. And I haven't been able to go in recent years, but I'm definitely planning to go this year.
So
If you decide to come down, let me know.
Are
But
you close to Baltimore?
oh yeah,
Area?
so I'm coming to you from Washington D.C., which is a bit south of Baltimore. But this podcast, I'm just kind of representing the DMV area, which is like kind of like the beltway around DC, which includes Maryland and Virginia. But Baltimore is a bit outside of that. It's more north, but it's not far. I can get there in about an hour or so. So I'm
Cool.
definitely planning to go check that out.
So that's the DMV. That's the DMV in your name. Like
Yep, DMV stands for DC, Maryland, and Virginia.
See, you learn something new in England every day.
That's right. Are there any conventions in England coming up?
No. I'm sad to report that no, there's nothing apart from there. I mean, there are plenty of Comic Cons in England at the moment, but
nothing you're planning on attending?
No, well, yeah, I will go. I'll kind of turn up and have a wander around, but they are more of they're called comic cons, but they are multimedia events, which I've got nothing against it. So if you've got guys and girls and mums and dads and kids that just turn up for Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, you know, all your favorite stuff from movies and TV and books, you know, Harry Potter and all that. I've got nothing against it, but it's not for old crusty comic collectors. You know, there's no, you know,
I see what you mean because
that I did, the last one I did, I mean, that was a couple of years ago now. I mean, that was hardcore. I've done that for the whole 3, 4, 5 days, and it was glorious because
I do see
80% comics.
Yeah, there's comics, long boxes all throughout the hall. Like it's really amazing.
Yeah.
But it does look like there's a London Film and Comic-Con coming up on July 6th and 7th of this year. So maybe that's what, like you were saying, it's more of a movies and TV kind of thing.
Yeah, Showmasters, they do a good show. Don't get me wrong. There is nothing wrong with it. There is nothing. Everyone's going to have a great time. But it is what I would call a multimedia event. Of which, out of that media, comics is the least represented kind of thing, and that's my main thing.
Yeah.
So if least represented these shows, then you know, it's cosplay's great, you know, gaming is great, and you know, signatures, and I mean, I've never been one to queue up for, you know, 2 hours just to get someone's signature, but that's what all these events are about. So, and manga in the UK, manga is really in the ascendancy. So there is, but it's
everywhere. I think, yeah.
Not,
it's not my main thing either. I will say that over here, I think the biggest Comic-Con in the country is probably San Diego Comic-Con, and I always wanted to go. I'd never been to that one, but from what I've heard, it is one of those Comic-Cons where the focus has shifted away a bit from comics in more recent years. I mean, I heard that after COVID, it got back into comics more, or a lot of people canceled, or I don't know, but mainly like with TV and movies and games and everything, sometimes the focus on comic books does get lost.
Yes,
so
yes, multimedia. I done it finally in I think it was 2016. I've done it with my son. I've done San Diego Comic Con with my son and my business partner and my brother-in-law.
How was it?
And yeah, it was brilliant. Just me and my son done the Comic Con, and what we did is we did 10 days in a car touring the west coast of America.
Cool.
Started to San Diego, and we went up as far as we could go, and then we started at San Diego, went up the west coast, and then back, ended up in Vegas, and then flew out from there 10 days later. So went
awesome.
Yeah, just done a tour. We've done a tour.
Like you've seen more of the West than me. Like the farthest west I've been is Chicago. So one day I'll make it out there, hopefully. We'll see.
Oh, wow. But yeah, yeah, I do lament the fact that the comics side is lost. But yeah, there's Baltimore. There's one more. I did Pittsburgh.
Is it WonderCon? I've heard a lot about WonderCon, or DragonCon.
There was one in August, 16th to the 18th. Terrificon. Yeah, a couple of guys on Threads has said that's a good one.
Where's that at?
where it's, I think that is east though. I think that's east. I could be wrong there, Freddie.
I'll look at. I just looked it up. It's in Connecticut.
Is that
Yeah,
east?
so that's on the East Coast. Yeah, that's
Easy
a bit
for you?
more north from me, but you know, I probably won't make it out to this one, but it might be a fun one. I don't know too much about it.
Yeah, yeah, but like I say, it's a bit dry. I mean, when you think about it, it is a bit. You know, for me to get the perfect Comic Con would be all comics, all the traders from everywhere, miles around, sending all their wares, and then a little bit of film and TV on top. You know, I've been at the other end of that. I've been the guy who's had comic shops, and I need to take merchandise, and you can't take enough comics to make it pay.
Mm-hmm.
You can't take enough long boxes of comics. You would need like 30 tables at one of these conventions to just show everyone everything you've got. So I do get it. I do get it, but it's just every now and again I do think, oh, you know, it's the comics that has that has kind of made this thing, you know, something new, something that we all want to do a Comic Con for, cosplay, whatever it is. But you know, the original
I
material
agree.
kind of forgets. It's a show, you know, every now and again. But no. But as long as everyone's enjoying themselves and getting involved, whether it's cosplay,
Right.
whatever it is, then yeah.
There's something for everybody somewhere out there. Just
Yeah,
gotta find our people, find our other hobbyists.
yeah, go and get involved and embrace it all. You know, embrace each. For me, what I've learned over the past few years is embrace each different iteration of what I would call comic book collecting. Like, it's not just about me collecting comics all the way back to the 1930s. It's about, okay, it's about that, but it's also about modern collectors that just want CGC, key issues. It's about collectors that want variant covers. And all of these things a few years ago would have angered me. Why do you want to collect variant covers there? You know, you're not a comic collector. But no, as long if you're collecting, collect variants. I don't like to me. It's not for me, Freddie, to collect variants. I do get the odd one or two every now and again. It's great artists. But if you want 12 covers of one comic, but that is what you collect, then who am I to say you are not now a comic collector? Collect them.
Yep. To each their own. Like for me, I'm definitely more about the stories. Like I want to read the stories. But then like you said, there are people who collect the variant covers, people who do the CGC grading, and like it's all valid. It's all, you know, it all contributes to the industry. So who are we to knock it? You know, like I mean, it gets tricky, but
collect your variants, collect your CGC like key issues. I've noticed on threads, you know, there are guys and girls that are proud to have their comics sent off and come back 9.8, and it's just something that come out last month, but they've got it. Like, say Ultimate X-Men #1 variant, I don't know, or just a normal cover, but I've got a 9.8 of this, and right, okay, like, okay, I'm not.
And that could be an investment. Like I've learned over the years that like if you have a lot of comics, maybe some of them in your collection might be very valuable, and maybe one day you might want to sell it, or you might want to pass it on to your kids, and hopefully you'll tell them the value of it so they don't just give it away.
Well, the only thing I used to say when I had the comic shop, I had 6 shops at one point.
Wow.
And there would be people come in, and it was when Phantom Menace first come out, so around that time. And there would be people coming to the shop, so many. You wouldn't believe how many people would come in to each one of my shops, and the managers would tell me, and they would say, what Star Wars figure, the action figures were coming out, and it was Darth Maul was the hot one, right? Darth Maul. So Phantom Menace has just come out. But there were so many people that would come into the shop and say, what one of these do I need to buy that will be worth a lot of money in years to come? And do you know what?
How can you say?
That is, yeah, and it is so it's so opposite to everything that makes these things valuable. Because for a start, they produced hundreds of thousands of the Phantom Menace action figures, whereas they didn't in the original Star Wars days. But all I would say to these people were, if I was there in the shops at the time, you've got to buy things you enjoy. Whether
Absolutely.
it's an action figure, a piece of artwork, whatever it is, like have a look around my shop. If you like that, it might be a plush toy of Yoda, but if you enjoy it, then if you like it and you want it, and it's only £5, $5, whatever it is, buy it. Don't like if you want these action figures, you think they look cool, a piece of art, that put it on the wall. Like all my stuff, like my artwork, I put it on the wall. I use my comics. I don't slab them. I read them. I touch them. I collect them. Don't in the value. So whatever money you pass over to the vendor, are you going to enjoy it?
Like you can put a price tag on a comic, but you can't put a price tag on an experience.
No,
and you want to have a good experience with whatever it is you're engaging with, I think.
Yeah, not nicely put. Whether it's a comic, a book, a poster, a picture, a baseball card, whatever it is, a piece of sports memorabilia, you've got to want it. But whatever money you pass across for it, if you're getting the fulfillment out of it, I mean that Harley Quinn, right, and Poison Ivy, right. So
I love that artwork there. Is that Bruce Timm or is that another artist?
It's Bruce Timm, right? And I bought it from the Wolverine store, right? So we're 25 years ago. But what you won't notice, but this is only personal to me. Like the value to me is only to me, because right at the bottom here, that is Paul Dini's
signature.
Yeah.
Cool. That's so awesome.
Now I've only got that at the bottom of that litho, or whatever you call it, because the manager at the Warner Brothers store, when I had the comic shops, he would come and get stuff from me, and I would put away expensive comics for him that he would pay over weeks to get, say, and a layaway scheme. And he put this away from me, like for me. But at the time, Paul Dini and Bruce Timm were doing a tour of England, and he just done it he just said, Roy, I've got that signed for you by Paul Dini.
Wow.
But I've got all he's done is I've got a black marker
scribble.
I've got a black marker pen of Paul Dini's signature on the top of that. But for me, yes, it was already a limited edition litho, but he took it to Oxford Street where they was doing the signing, and he got him to sign that. So, but what's the value of that? I can't prove it. I could have done it. I could have copied, in this day and age, I could have done it. But for me, that's the value, and that's what I try to tell people at the comic shops. You know, buy what you enjoy.
Yeah, I think
Really,
that's good advice
yeah. Just
for
don't
sure.
speculate. When you try to speculate with this stuff, I don't know. I don't know anyone who's really gained from speculating. You might hear a few stories, and I think most of them will be liars or exaggerating at best. Uh, Speculating on this stuff, it's a dodgy game.
Definitely.
Just buy what you love, enjoy what you love. Listen,
Well said.
and spend loads of money on it if you enjoy it. Spend loads of money. I'm not going to stop anyone spending loads of dough, but yeah.
I do want to mention though, I feel like this website I've been scrolling, League of Comic Geeks.
Yeah.
I think that they do include some price information regarding, like, I don't know if it's in depth or if it's general, but like if people are curious about, how much does a comic cost on the cover, or how much is an older comic book worth? I mean, you can look that stuff up on that website because they have all kinds of information, and like that's kind of why I like this website. You've got all the series organized. You've got the variant covers. You've got the information of the creators who are involved. It's pretty useful. So I highly recommend that to fans of all kinds. LeagueofComicGeeks.com. All right, I have one more bit of news I want to just mention real quick. We were talking about conventions before. There's one more that I'm kind of curious about, kind of interested in. I'll share a picture here. This is the Uncanny Experience. So for X-Men fans, this is going to be the biggest event of the year. Like, you've got Chris Claremont, you've got Gail Simone, you've got Leah Williams, Alison Seeley Smith, George Buza, and more. You're gonna have a lot of cosplayers there. You're gonna have a lot of events there. Like, I've never been to one. This is the second one. I mean, it sounds like the event of the year if you're an X-Men fan, because I mean, you've got creators, you've got people from the series, the animated series, which was X-Men '97, was just one of the biggest shows this year, as far as I'm concerned. Like, so for me, the tricky thing is this is coming out. This is happening on September 28th and 29th in Minneapolis, and that's like the weekend following the Baltimore Comic-Con. So if I do go to this, it'll be like a very busy week for me, going from Baltimore to Minneapolis. I'll be losing my nerd mind, but I do want to know if anyone who's listening to this podcast is also thinking about going or planning to go. I know that people who are on the House of X podcast, they are going to be there. I think they're very involved in organizing it. So, and they were there last year as well. So if you're a fan of that podcast, those are some people you should definitely get to know and hope to see there if you decide to go. But I know that you're not as much into the X-Men these days, so I don't expect you to catch a flight over there.
I'm just laughing at Storm, to be fair.
Oh yeah.
Other than that, I'm loving everyone else, but I'm just laughing. It's like what?
Well, not too much on the store. I mean, I feel like they all got some pretty cool costumes there.
Sometimes we can all, I think we can all be guilty of being a little bit too cynical about other fans' love of different genres and characters, So some love Star Wars will be cynical about Star Trek fans, and etc., etc., etc. So yeah, I do recognise that I can be too cynical of things, but
you're entitled to your opinions, though.
I would rather be at a con where everyone is into the X-Men and they've got comics and they've got the books and they've got the everything there.
Yeah, I think this is for the hardcore X fans. Like I know a lot of people who have been following the Krakoa era. They're going to be there. I think Homo Superior is another podcast that's been following the Krakoan era. I think they're going to be there. So I don't know. I might like to go hang out with the other X fans, but I've never been to Minneapolis, so we'll see if I can make that happen this year. We'll see.
From you, Minneapolis. Is this a near? Is this a local?
That's in the Midwest, so that's in Minnesota. It's like I'm on the East Coast, so this is right in the middle of the country in the north. So it's quite a bit of a trip for me. I'd have to fly out there if I go, but it's possible. I don't know. I haven't decided yet.
Well,
all right. I think that's it for me as far as news and events. Anything else you'd like to share before we hop off?
Freddie, that's been a great comic book chat, to be fair. And thank you.
Thank you. Yes, it's been great having you on and great getting to meet you. Like this is our first time meeting over Zoom, and yeah, getting to know a little bit more about you and your love of comics, and can't wait to learn more. Like so I wanted to ask, because I think I heard you say that you own 6 comic stores. Like did you own them or work at them, or what's the story there?
I owned them. Yeah, I had 6.
That's awesome.
Late 90s, early 2000s, until it all went business-wise, it all went a bit wrong. But yeah, I had 6 action figures, comics, posters, everything. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, and before that, I was also writing war comics for UK publisher. I had about I think it was either 14 or 15 war stories published. So yeah, I've done the rounds, Freddie.
Can people still find those comics? Do you want to plug them real quick?
No, I don't think you can. I mean, they get reprinted every now and again, but no, they kind of with British comic publishing, we don't really want to go there. It's a real, it's
that's too bad.
So different to the US format of publishing comic. It's so different.
Interesting. I guess that's why we have so many UK writers and artists come over here and work for Marvel and DC and like,
Definitely.
Like some of the most well-regarded creators, Alan Moore, like Chris Claremont, like, all from your side, your neck of the woods.
Grant Morrison. Yeah, the list would go on and on.
On and on, for sure.
I think it was
all right.
It was Karen Berger at DC that was kind of actively coming to the UK and poaching all of the UK creatives. So, But that's
all right. Well, I'd like to just thank all of our listeners. If you've listened to this whole video chat, like, you guys are amazing. We appreciate you. We'd appreciate you even more if you give us a like and a subscribe. I recently got a couple new subscribers on YouTube, and I'd love to hit 20. That would be a big number for me. So let's see if we can get over to that in this next week. If not, it's whatever. But I'm just glad that you guys are here. Again, thank you, Hog, for joining me today. This has been a great conversation. So people can find you on Threads at Geeky Old Hog. Is that right?
Yes.
And is there any other thing that you want to plug or mention?
And YouTube, Geeky Old Hog.
And YouTube. Yes, I'm definitely going to have to go check out some of your videos.
There's a few thousand videos there you can check out.
Very cool. All right. And
thank you, Freddie,
you can find
the invite. Thank you for that. I've loved it.
No problem. You're welcome back anytime. And you can always find me at DMVCBN, primarily on Threads, occasionally on Twitter. maybe on Instagram. I don't know. I'm out there. So look up DMVCBN, and yeah, we'll try to join you next week, like with more comics talk. Yeah, if anyone's interested in hopping on the show as a guest, like this is an open invitation because we want to hear more perspectives and connect with people all around the world. Like this is so fun for me. So I really enjoy that. I think that's about it. So until next time, friends, Excelsior.
Adios.
Bye.